Academic Freedom Index. We got a very low score on this index, reflects the issues plaguing the country's education system. The India's announcement that national education policy on July 29 this year, the policy aims at overhauling the education system. Okay. That means they are changing that everything will be changed now. Okay. That means India is going to be a new India, and Modi was saying. Okay. India is a global knowledge superpower, making India a global knowledge superpower. Okay. With the new system that aligned to the United Nations substantial development goal number 4. Write down that SDG goals. Okay, how many goals are there? SDG goals?
70.
17 goals are there, right? So among that, goal number 4, okay, talks about. Okay, goal number 4 talks about education. Okay, so this is the national education policy is in line with the SDG 4. It also emphasizes universal access to the school for children, raising the gross enrollment ratio. Gross enrollment ratio. Yesterday we have seen midday meal scheme. One of the what is that outcome of a midday meal scheme is gross enrollment ratio. That means more students are coming to the schools, okay, and ending the spiraling out dropout rate in India. That means students come to the school, but after some time they drop. Okay, for various reasons. So we need to end the dropouts. Write down that word. Ending the dropouts and increasing the GER. GER means gross enrollment ratio. Gross enrollment ratio. Okay, so these are the goals in the SDG. SDG means what? Sustainable Development Goal number 4. Okay. The academic community is still debating and weighing the pros and cons of the NEP. That means what is good and what's almost everybody is saying that it is a good only. Okay, but everybody is also concerned what will happen to the implementation part. Okay. So to start with, everybody is okay. Okay, India is going for this one, that one. You can change your course in between. You can go for another additional subjects. All these are looks positive only. Okay. However, one of the key disappointment in the real is that the real problem plaguing the education system in the country and the higher education system, the erosion of academic freedom. That is what the content of this article. Okay. Academic freedom is not there. Academic freedom is not there. India has scored considerably low in the International Academic Freedom of Index. Write down this number. Okay, 0.352. Okay, 0.352, which is closely followed by Saudi Arabia. Okay, Libya. So these are the countries which are highly autocratic country. You can say monarchy. Okay. Libya is having a lot of civil war. So almost same score India is having. Okay. So in India, academic freedom is not there according to this index. Okay. In last 5 years, the AFI of India has dipped by 0.1 points. Surprisingly, countries like Malaysia, Pakistan, Somalia have scored better than India. Okay, if you write this, then we told as anti-Indian. But the truth is, write down, Pakistan has got better index than India. Pakistan has got Pakistan is better than. Okay. So in the first paragraph, what we are saying is we are linking the academic freedom index to the national education policy. A national education policy itself linked with the SDG goals. Okay, SDG goals has got two things. One is the enrollment. People have to come to the schools and they have to be retained in the schools also. Okay. Academic freedom index of India is very low, which is compared with with the countries like Saudi Arabia and Libya and all. Okay. And Pakistan is better than us, is the more worrying than anything else. The many claims of NEP 2020, the AFI and the accompanying report quantifying the freedom of scholar to politically and culturally controversial topics without fearing for their life, studies, or profession. You might have seen in France, actually. I think France only, the issue started with Froufet was being mocked in the school or something. I don't know exact issue, but that is how he was beheaded. The teacher was beheaded, then spiraling into riots in France. Okay. So yeah, what do you mean by academic freedom means, look at this, okay, to discuss politically and culturally controversial topics in the class. Okay, politically and culturally controversial topics without fearing of their life, studies, or profession. Okay, please copy down. Please copy down this. Kirtana is able to understand me?
Yes.
You can hear me. Okay. Everybody is there listening, right? Okay. An aspect where India is failing terribly. India is not able to score in this aspect. That means to discuss political and culturally controversial topics without fearing for their life. Okay. In such a scenario, it is important to look into the NEP 2020 has to offer. Okay. NEP 2020 claims that it is based on the principle of creativity and critical thinking, okay, and emissions on education system that is free from political and external interference. Please copy down about NEP. What NEP says is the education should be based on creativity, okay, critical thinking, okay, and separated from the political or external interference. Please copy down this. For instance, the policy states that faculty will be given a freedom to design their own curricular and pedagogical approaches within the approved framework, including textbook and reading material selections, assignments, and assessment. It also suggests that constituting National Research Foundation, a merit-based and a peer-reviewed research funding, which will be governed independently for government. Okay, so we are giving freedom to the faculty. That is the one thing to in designing the curriculum. Okay. Right now, another aspect of NEP is giving freedom to the faculties in deciding their curriculum, which material we have to refer, what kind of assignments should be given, what kind of assessment should be given. All these freedoms are available in the. Yes, madam. Madam will be coming, so I'll complete this by the time. It also suggests we are going to set up a National Research Foundation, okay, for merit-based peer-reviewed research funding. So here, two things you have to understand. One is the academic freedom index we are discussing, and we are integrating that how it is available in our national education policy. However, the question is whether these promises offer will be put into practice. Again, this is a big question asked by everybody. Okay, whatever is being said in the national education policy, how far it is going to be put in practice, how it is practically possible in India with the available infrastructure and available mindset. The faculties of the day are not capable of taking this kind of new things into their academic curriculum. So two things are there. One is mindset of the academic people. The second thing is infrastructure. So NEP is a very bold step talking about, we have seen, no? I don't know whether you have seen through the new NEP, like they're talking about you can drop the class, you can go to another subject and do it. All those stuffs. Very bold step. This is something which is in line with international practices. But how it will be put into practice or how it will put into implementation part, that will be a big question. The AFI has cited the free to think report of the scholars at Research Academic Freedom Monitoring Project to suggest that political tensions in India may have something to do with declining academic freedom. Okay. Yeah, this have been there, okay, particularly since 2014, since Modi has come to power. The government of India is little Hindu with the little, it is Hindu with the government. Okay. So, and also there will be right wing government which wants certain personalities to be portrayed, and they want to rewrite the history also. In fact, they felt that too much of Gandhi is there in the history. We should bring other peoples also into it. Maybe correct, okay, but total rewriting of history may not be possible. Okay. So since the 2014, okay, there is a lot of changes coming. Okay, in the government is also interfering in the this one. Okay, so here they are saying that, like, look at this free to think report of the scholars at Research Risk Academic Freedom Monitoring Project suggests that political tensions in India, okay, may be something to do with the academic freedom. The police brutality against students at Jamia Millia Islamia, okay, that we have seen. Okay, they went and they have yeah, it was like this one gundas entering the, so that happened. Then we have seen what is happening Jawaharlal Nehru University, okay, in the name of maintaining law and order. Okay, so these two examples write down: Jamia Millia University, okay, brutality of police, as well as Jawaharlal Nehru universities, and they are being labeled as anti-nationals. Okay, so political tensions is a real issues in India in terms of academic freedom. Rent-seeking culture. The AFI, okay, that means Academic Freedom Index, used 8 components. Okay, so this you have to check what are the 8 components. Okay, and also try to find out who is bringing this report. You want, I'll tell you. This is one of the question. Okay, who is bringing this report? Let me check it. I'll let you know. Otherwise, it should be there. Okay, write down AFI has 8 components to evaluate the score. Okay, these are given here: freedom to research and teach, freedom to research and teach, okay, freedom of academic exchange and dissemination, institutional autonomy, campus integrity, freedom of academic and cultural expression, constitutional protection of academic freedom, international legal commitment to academic freedom under the International Covenant on Economic, Social, Cultural Rights, and existence of universities. I don't know that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, write down. I'll check it later. Otherwise, you see this. Okay, around 8 should be the 8 components. India has not fared well in the components like institutional autonomy. So India's poor score is because of these things. Okay, we have not scored well in institutional autonomy, campus integrity, freedom of academic and cultural expression, and constitutional protection of the academic freedom. Okay. Most universities in countries are subjected to unsolicited interference from the government. Right on this, most universities, okay, are subjected to unsolicited interference from the government in both academic as well as non-academic. It is common. Knowledge by now that the majority of the appointments. Yes, of course. Okay, vice chancellor are who is appointing the vice chancellor? Anybody? Easy question here. Governor. Okay, who recommends to governor? Or government will do. Governor will appoint on his own.
Chief Minister.
Chief Minister and cabinet. Okay, and they are not people who came from the mass. They are our own people, politician, right? Yes or no? Okay, so they have certain their own this one group. Okay, the pressure groups or whatever it call it. So at the end of the day, the appointments are political in nature. Write down. Okay, the appointments in the universities are political in nature. Okay, you talk about Senate inside that, inside all these are, but even though done by the governor, okay, governor does sit on the recommendations of the. See, I gave video concession only to Aida. What about others? Why others are not opening? Disturbing the sleep, isn't it, madam? Okay, when I see the class, then the attention will be more. Yeah, so political appointments. Okay, political appointments. Thereby, okay, it is a common knowledge by now that majority of the appointments, especially to the top ranking post, that like vice chancellors, pro vice chancellors, all have politicized. Such political appointments not only choke academic and creative freedom, but also lead to corrupt practices. Right now, not only the freedom, but corruption also happens, including those in licensing accreditation, thus promoting unhealthy favoritism, nepotism. Okay, all these are happening. Okay, this reflects a rent-seeking culture within academic. That means I have given you posting. So what are you going to give me back? Okay. At present, many education institutions and regulatory bodies, both at the central and state levels, are headed by the bureaucrats. However, NEP 2020 aims to debureaucratize it. Right? Another important thing in NEP 2020 is debureaucratization. 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 The education system by giving governance power to the academics. By giving governance power to the academicians. It also gives about giving autonomy to higher education institution by handing over their administration to a board comprising academics. So autonomy in terms of governance, one is governance, okay. The other one is the administration itself is going to be by academic itself. Okay, something like we can do. I don't know how far it can be done in the judiciary. If you look, judiciary, everything is judicial taker, including the appointment itself. They will appoint their own people. Okay, the staff, everybody is appointed. Government will not interfere. That means autonomy and the independency for the judiciary. Similar things can happen here also. Okay. This is the so at the end they are saying like this. So try to find out let me find out, because when you go and search, you will waste your time. I want to know who is publishing this report. Yeah. So at the end of the day, here there's a link. They're talking about how to bring the freedom in academic. Okay, academic freedom index is a index. So this 8 academic, this one is criteria, components that you should know. Okay. Then you should know what is this, what actually means this freedom. Okay. Then how it is integrated in our national education policy, but still something are lacking in the national education policy. Okay. And even if it is mentioned national education policy, how it is going to be implemented will be a big challenge to see. Okay, so madam has come, she will be taking the class. Okay, I'll also be there. Okay, any doubt you can ask me. Yeah, any doubt in this particular articles? Okay, a couple of other things you have to see in today's newspaper is one is about Special Marriage Act. Okay, Special Marriage Act is where that means interfaith marriages are there. Okay, interfaith marriages. Allahabad High Court has given a verdict saying that conversion only for marriage may not be good. Okay, it's not saying it is illegal, but it may not be good. Okay, so taking clue from that, Hindutva government in this one Uttar Pradesh as well as in Haryana are thinking they may bring a law in which conversion for the marriage alone may be illegal also. But I don't know whether it is legally, means constitutional or not. Based upon that, there's an article. Most importantly, we have to discuss about the Special Marriages Act also. Okay, if time permits, I'll record it and upload. Otherwise, you can also read that. Special Marriages Act. Okay, how it is possible to ban a conversion only for marriage purpose. Okay, we'll see that. Shapna madam, you are there?